I've got Tony London on the line, and Tony's got an album out, and it's really quite an interesting CD. It's called Songs from the Heart. He's accompanied by the Page Kavanaugh Trio for this disc, and some of the songs on the disc are written by one of our great classic film actresses, Marcia Hunt, and also a couple by one of my favorites, and that's Hugh Martin. And we're going to find out more about that right now when I talk to Tony London about Judy Garland. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Larry.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Uh, Tony, tell me about what kind of effect Judy Garland has had on your career. It's interesting that you have worked with Hugh Martin, and you're sort of a protege of Hugh Martin, and he is quite a part of Judy Garland's history, having worked with her from her earliest days at MGM Studios, and then later on at the Palace Theater in New York in 1951 for her big comeback.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think Judy became possibly the first singer to ever have impacted my way of not only listening to a singer, but being able to watch a singer and truly grasp something that, to that point, I had never really been aware of. I remember very vividly a scene from For Me and My Gal, where Judy was on stage singing After You've Gone, and reflecting on her emotionally unstable relationship she had with her screen partner, Gene Kelly, and his character, rather. And what made that scene particularly such a standout to me was how she was able to take her mood and expressions from putting on that smile for the audience look to literally crying actual tears while singing through that part of the song. So obviously hurt and overcome the emotion. I've never forgotten that. I think, I'm usually quick to argue that it's Rosemary Clooney that taught me to sing a song with real focus and feeling, making it my own set of emotions. But in fact, it was actually Judy Garland that moved me so much in listening and actually watching her sing. That's the key, is being able to watch someone sing like she did, and it really got so deep inside me that it somehow stuck there inside and transported my whole understanding of how to let the moment of a song take me over.
Well, Tony, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been talking to several people today, like yourself, who are current generation singers who were influenced by Judy, and we've been talking so much about her vocal qualities as a singer, and I'm glad that you pointed out what an accomplished actress she was as well.
Yeah,
Whether acting in song or just acting the role in a movie,
yeah.
she was one of those people who seemed to do it all, and it seems so effortless when we watch her.
Sure.
Um,
Well,
what did,
you had mentioned Marcia Hunt, and Marcia was just really such a great actress of being expressive. Her eyes were very expressive, her voice very expressive, and that was in her own way. That was what Judy was so good at. No matter the moment or the tone of the scene, she could be like Mickey, super energetic, or be very, very emotional and muster up those tears at the drop of a hat. So.
do you have any favorite outside of, you've mentioned For Me and My Gal, do you have any other Garland movies or television performances that really stand out, or recordings? Anything that really stands out for you?
Oh boy, honestly, it's nearly impossible to single out any one favorite of Judy Garland. Anything, it's just too much. And I will say that my favorite Judy Garland moments all come within those first 10 years of her career. The certainly all her performing life was spectacular and remarkable, but in those early decade years, she remained the raw and completely selfless performer that really made us all pay attention to begin with. There's a real element of sincerity in those days. But it was really difficult to say this was my favorite song or film. There was such a large body of work to admire. So.
When you perform these days, do you keep in mind or keep in the back of your mind the kind of performances she gave, where she seemed to have that very strong connection with all of the members of her audience, whether it was a film audience or whether it was a television audience or a stage audience.
Yeah, yeah. Boy, certainly. There are very few. There have been very few performers. Lots of great voices out there. Sinatra had a great voice in his day, and Vic Damone, and well, many. Rosemary Clooney, but so few like Rosemary Clooney or Judy, where they really just connected with their audience, whether it's a television audience or in a live theater setting. Their connectiveness with that human element of reaching out and making someone feel what they're doing. That's been a big part of what has influenced me in my performing. To be able to make it count, make those lyrics and their meanings really come through.
What is your experience like, or what is it like for you to work with Hugh Martin, knowing that this is someone who coached and accompanied Judy Garland?
Amazing. Yeah, Hugh's a dear friend of mine. He's one of the nicest people I've ever known, which is always a much nicer way to have someone impact you is when they're a good person, but he's just his talent. There have been very few talents in our time or any other who have that unique ability to find a certain magic in their songwriting. Hugh made some, monumental landmark moments with Judy in those days, and I feel very fortunate to have had him working with me on this last album. Love Can Change the Stars came out, quite wonderfully, and it's a tremendously beautiful song, both lyrically and musically. And I couldn't resist it when Hugh suggested that I record that one. He's a remarkable human being and songwriter.
Did he offer you any coaching tips as you were working on your CD?
Well, no, quite strangely, and I had sort of hoped for that, but I have a quote from Hugh. He wrote to me saying, Tony, you're my favorite male singer, and I have the utmost respect for your integrity. And I think for someone like that to say those words to me really struck me as a surprise and shocking, but I feel honored that he never really did say, I think you could use help here or there, and I'm always feeling like I could get better, but I've been filled with nothing but confidence and praise by Hugh.
Well, and I've spoken with Hugh a few times. He's been a guest on this show, and he was the one who suggested that I speak with you. He really is a very big fan of your work. And,
yeah, he's remarkable.
And I said, well, anybody who Hugh is a fan of, they've got to come on this show, because I really think very highly of Hugh Martin and enjoy his music very much.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Where or When was another one of those great performances by Judy, and one of those early movies. I think it was Babes in Arms.
Yes, Babes in Arms.
Yeah.
Sadly, she only sang a couple of lines
of
the song. I said, oh,
Well, a couple of lines, but it was Judy, and Judy putting her heart and soul into something, even just a few lines, especially, as I said, in those early years, she was so sincere that it didn't matter. She could sing 2 lines or an entire song, and it still had such an impact on whoever was watching and listening.
Well, Tony, I agree with that. We're going to put on your track now, Where or When. And Tony, I hope you'll come back on the show. You were a guest. For those of you listening, you may remember Tony was a guest, I think, back in winter or fall when the CD was first coming out. And I hope you'll come back again, Tony, and we'll kind of catch up with what you've been doing and where you've been performing and what's going on. This is Tony's version of the Rodgers and Hart classic, Where or When.
It seems we've stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you're smiling, you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when? Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when?
Tony London, Where or When? And that is from his CD titled Songs from the Heart. He's accompanied by the Page Kavanaugh Trio, as a matter of fact, on this CD, which makes it really a great accompaniment. And as I mentioned, some of the songs were written by classic actress Marcia Hunt, and also some by Hugh Martin.